And so from that night, I left there, and I put on I've never gone to a BCM conference, not as a student, not as a staff. I overlooked them every time they came my way. I never wanted to go. And I left that night, and I said to the young lady, yeah, let's talk, because she had asked me earlier the day before if I had questions from when they were sitting around the table. And I said no, I didn't have anything to say. But then I had a full day to process. So now that I'd had a full day to process, then I decided that we would sit together. And so I decided to sit with her, and I told her, I sat with her after that the next day, and I told her, here is my story. And so I began to tell her how my story from how I formed, because a lot of them around the table were African Americans, and I formed my story based on some of the experiences that I had had in college when I was a student with some of my friends who I'd met who were African Americans. And I felt that every conversation that we had, it almost seemed like there was nowhere to get anywhere. And I was from a completely different background. And so being from the Caribbean or being Jamaican, I was always of the thought process, that's your issue, I'm Jamaican, has nothing to do with me. And so for me being Jamaican, it was like, that's African American issue, it has nothing to do with me. This is how we were raised, this is how I was raised, this is how my family is. I don't understand the issues and the problems in the African American community, and I don't understand why they have to be issues and problems. And so that was my thought process. And so I began to tell her where I was, how I felt, and then I began to tell her when I was sitting down at lunch, I said it was a very good conversation, but I felt like I started hearing they and us, and they and us, and I'm saying, what does they and us have to do as Christians? We're not they and us, we are we. We're we, and I don't want to be a part of they and us when it comes on to Christianity. And so she explained to me what they were talking about when they were talking about they and us had nothing to do with that, but because of where my mind was, I heard it and I tuned out. And so she told me that if you never come to the table, no one will hear your voice about what you had to say. And if you don't come to the table, we won't hear your perspective, and you won't hear our perspective. Because then she cleared up what she was talking about, and I understood better, but I also realized that I had not sat long enough to understand better the African American community. All right. And so in that moment, a lot of things began to shift. And from the night of the 40th, and the next group that's there, that's actually now the new leaders. So those are the older leaders, and the newer people that actually, these are now the people who are leading. That from all these 40 years coming down, these are now the new people that God had put there. And I was standing there looking at them and saying, wow, this is amazing from where we've come from to be now. And they gave us a sweatshirt that night, and we walked out. I was like, yeah, sweatshirt, it's cold eventually. And I walked out that night, and kind of just leaving there, it was unexpected. I didn't really want to go to the conference. And I went to the conference. And just walking in that first day, that one person impacted me just by saying hello and continuing a conversation with me that I did not know I needed to have. It wasn't a BCM conference, but she kept on inviting. She wasn't inviting me because she wanted me to join BCM. She was just inviting me because that's just who she is. And as she kept on inviting me, I kept on saying, I know you want, and yeah, let me guess. Now you're going to write my number now. So I was very defensive, and she was not paying any attention to me being defensive, but something was inside of me that was going on that I just didn't want to be a part of the group. And that began my journey And it began my journey of God inviting me to a place of where I've sat so long and sat down in the fact that I am Jamaican and I am not African American. And so God was inviting me that look at the color of your skin. You are black. Right? Either way you look at it, if you want to color it or cover it or say, I'm from Jamaica, so that doesn't matter. I'm from Haiti, so that doesn't matter. I'm from Africa, so that doesn't matter. Yes, it matters. We are black. And when you see your brothers and sisters who are African American, and when we see our brothers and sisters who are African American, we hold one thing that's true. We may not begin at the same place, but we have history and something that connects us together, and that is we share the same skin color. And it was hard, not for me to say I'm black, I'm black, but the important thing was, which is held very dear to me being Caribbean, the most important thing was I am Jamaican. That was the important thing. And that's the one, and that's the thing that keeps the division. That's the thing that makes me not have to be concerned about someone who is not Jamaican, who is black, who is not Jamaican, because we do not share the same heritage. And because of that, I used to be able to just put a blind eye and say, well, that's them, that's not me, I'm from Jamaica. And we like the idea of being from Jamaica because everybody likes to hear, hey, where are you from? I'm from Jamaica. Oh, Bob Marley. You know, yeah, man. You know, so when you say you're from Jamaica, hey, I was in Jamaica, vacation, Duns River Falls, you know, Negril and stuff. So people like to hear that you're from Jamaica. But when you talk about African Americans and everything, it's a different thing. But when you hear that you're from Jamaica, a lot of people like to hear that you're from another place because they're so used to that. And for a lot of people, that's a tourist spot and all that stuff. And so it's easy to come into that place and think that we can get away with that. But as time started to go by, it's not the fact that the woman that I saw, Kim, you could put her picture up there, please. That's her. Big impact on my life. The thing is, I was already shifting because over the past 2 years or so, I have seen so many things in America that I did not believe that I would see. The shootings, the killings, all these things. I thought, wow. Yeah. After I started seeing that, I realized that could have been my brother. That's right. That could have been my uncle. Yeah. That could have been a friend, and I realized, whoa, it's coming really close. There's nowhere to hide. You can't hide behind the fact that you're Jamaican. The fact is it's all merging. And places in my heart are already started to open. But it's this last contact that I had that definitely pushed me right over to where God wanted me to be. And a part of what I think the invitation that God invites me to is to talk to my brothers and sisters who are from the Caribbean or from wherever, who are non-black African American, to send the message out that we're brothers and sisters, whether we're from the Caribbean or whether we're from Africa or whether we're from America, we are brothers and sisters, and we need to stand and unite together as a people under God. And one of the things, it's okay where we want to invite the rest of the world to stand and unite. We want to invite our white brothers and our white sisters and our brothers and sisters from other cultures to stand and unite with us. But we, within our own culture, do not want to stand and be united with each other. We invite other cultures, lean in, understand where we're coming from, understand the culture, but we ourselves do not stand and say, let me understand, you know what, I'm from Jamaica, I don't have the same beginnings that you do, but I want to lean in and understand where you're coming from. I want to learn a little bit more about your history. And you know what? I want to join hands with you, and I want to stand with you in something that I don't understand. And together, we can stand because God invites us to do that.
Amen.
And so one of the scriptures that I have it up on the screen, and I did it from the Message Bible, said, our firm decision is to work from the focus center. One man died for everyone. That puts everyone in the same boat.
Yes.
He included everyone in his death so that everyone could also be included in his life, a resurrection life, a far better life than people ever lived on their own. Because of this decision, we don't evaluate people by what they have or how they look.
Amen. Whoa.
Because of what Jesus did on the cross, we don't evaluate. And this is for everybody. We don't evaluate people on whether they're black or whether they're white or whether they're Haitian or Asian, or we do not evaluate people by what they have or people by what they look. Because of what Jesus already did on the cross, he did it for every single person, that none of us would have been able to do it on our own.
That's
right. Right? We looked at the Messiah that way once and got it all wrong. We looked at it, we evaluated him all wrong. When Jesus walked on this planet, on this earth, people looked at him all wrong. He was saying who he was, but he got crucified because people did not believe who he said he was, and they got it all wrong. He was who he said he was. He was Jesus. He was the Christ. He was the Son of God, and he got killed for saying that. And we got it all wrong, and today we continue to get it wrong because we keep on looking at each other the wrong way. We keep on having all these racial tensions, whether it's whether it's race between culture. We have all these things wrong because we keep looking at each other and we get it all wrong. We certainly don't look at him that way anymore. Now we look inside and see what we see is that everyone united with the Messiah gets a fresh start and is created new. The old life is gone, a new life comes. Look at it. All this comes from God, who settled the relationship between us and him, and then called us to settle our relationships with each other.
Amen.
So he first did it. We had bad blood. We did not choose to obey God and listen to him. And Jesus decided to come and settle the score. He died for us all so that we could be reunited with God. And he said, okay, since I've already done that, you guys need to do the same. You guys need to do the same. He said, look at it. All this comes from God, who settled the relationship between us and him, and then called us to settle our relationship with each other. God put the world square with himself through the Messiah, giving the world a fresh start by offering forgiveness of sin.